All right, so you wanted a quick video on domain and range, again, looking at a graph. So I pulled some graphs that you may see on your test, hint, hint, for domain and range. And in class, I sometimes have us make a domain and range viewer. So a couple years ago, if you had me, we probably made one of these. I can't remember if I used them last year. But the idea is that, you know, if we weren't technology based, we have this window viewer where when we click and drag it over our graph here, I went too far, as you can see. This may take a second because, you know, Apple Pen. Our graph is now in the middle of it and we can think. So in this one, if we think about the domain, I have arrows going left forever and right forever. So that's how I know that the domain is negative infinity to infinity, is because it gets wider and wider forever and ever and ever. Okay, for range, it's the bottom to the top. So the way you want to think about that, and I'm at the top of this, so I'm not sure that I can go up, but I will try, is if I were to bring my image up, where would I be at the very bottom of the graph? So notice that I'm at the very bottom of the graph right there. So where is right there? Well, this is tiny writing, so let's zoom in. 5, 4, 3, 2. It looks like at 2. And then it's going up, up, up forever and ever and ever. So for the range, I would write from -2 to infinity. Now, here's where the question comes in. How do I know if it's a parenthesis or bracket? If there's an actual point there, so there's not an open circle there, okay? There's not. It's also not an asymptote, so that means that there's an actual point there, which means that it is included. A bracket means included. It's part of the function. Like if I put in -2, I don't get error. I actually get, whoops, I don't know why I said that was negative. It's actually +2. So if you've been scratching your head, why is that negative? It's not, it's positive. Okay, so from 2 to infinity, okay? So it's an actual point on the graph. Okay, so let's look at the next one that is graph related. This is a piecewise function. So notice, if it's asking for the domain of the entire entity of the graph here, it goes left forever, it goes right forever, and even though it's open here, it is closed here. So the point that doesn't have a value here actually does have a value. So the domain is, sorry, I almost wrote the symbol that we really haven't used in this class, -infinity to infinity, okay? The range is the same way. Does it go down forever? Yes. Does it go up forever? Yes. Does it cover everything in between? So all of these places right here, do they have an X value somewhere? Yes. Some of them. Okay. So the range is also -infinity to infinity. And the last one's actually 2 graphs, but it talks about inverses, and you will be tested on inverses. So if you have not done your inverse homework yet, you may be a little confused on this question until you complete it. So remember, for an inverse, the domain and range switch. So what that means is whatever, so here, I will change my color to match here. The black for domain starts at 0. If it helps, write the point out. So this looks like 0, -8. Okay, so the X value is 0. And then it goes left forever. The range is the Y value, so the Y value is -8, and then it goes up forever. So there's my domain and range for the black piece, which is half of a parabola. Now, since they are inverses of one another, and I know that they're inverses because the question was like, hey, pick which ones are inverses of each other or whatever of the graph. And so being the math teacher that I am, I chose the ones that were inverses of each other. Okay? So since they are inverses of each other, that means the domain and range flip. So what the domain was for one is now the range for the other. And what the range was for one is now the domain. So for the red graph there, that is my domain and range. And if you look, let's make sure that that makes sense. Well, this is the point, -8, 0. Again, if this is 0, -8, its inverse has to be -8, 0. From left to right, it does go -8 to infinity. From bottom, 0, it's slowly going up, up, up forever and ever. It's the most boring roller coaster ever, but it is going up. So my range is 0 to infinity. Okay. All right, so I hope that this clears up domain and range. If you still have some questions, just reach out, let me know. I will answer. I will make another video. We can do one-on-one.